I'm gonna do my best to speak slowly, but I am nervous, so I might get a little speedy sometimes.
That means you're going to do a good job.
I'm gonna try my best. First of all, I'm really honored to be here. I've wanted to do a sermon for a long time, and so it meant a lot to be invited. And so the title of this talk is Everything is Made Up, which is really how I live my life. And what we're gonna talk about mostly today is how I am made up, and how who I am over time has changed and will continue to change, and why that is beautiful. And it's something I'm still coming to accept and understand in myself. So I'm just gonna share with you folks where I'm at. The other reason that I know I was asked here is that there are some folks who maybe haven't had a chance to sit down with a transgender or non-binary person. And so we're just gonna talk through some simple terms and concepts to give you a little bit of a primer. So if anyone is feeling brave, who knows what it means if a person is transgender? Morgan, what do you got for us?
Well, being transgender myself is when somebody's gender assigned at birth does not align with how we feel as they grow up. So if somebody is born as a boy and goes by the name and is assigned the name Michael, they might grow up feeling more like a girl and going by the name Michelle or Ashley.
Yep. Exactly. So just to make sure we have absolute certainty, it's a beautiful primer, Morgan, thank you. So this can be really confusing for folks outside the community or folks who haven't met a lot of trans folks. But if a person who was previously a man makes the decision to now live as a woman, that person is now a trans woman. Trans is an adjective. So she is a tall woman, she is a smart woman, she is a trans woman. And if a person who was born a woman like me transitions to living as a man, which is something I did for 10 years, I would be a trans man. Again, just an adjective: smart man, handsome man, trans man. And then you have me, hello, I'm a non-binary person who likes to dabble across the board. I feel like dressing like this right now. For 10 years, I didn't dress like this, but lately it's felt better to me. So a non-binary person is a person who can either do both or just kind of opt out. No gender for me, thanks, is kind of how I put it. So some people just don't care to participate in gender. And one of the things I really want to talk about is how do we interact with people when we're not sure what their gender is? And the simplest answer is you just treat them with respect, like any other community member. I'm a person who loves answering awkward questions, so I invite all of you to ask me your most awkward questions, but always check with somebody before you ask them something that could be very personal or even in progress for them. A lot of people have asked me my pronouns lately. I've just been saying, I don't know. You can just call me Chuck, because that's the most accurate thing I have for you right now. So let's see. So why might a person choose to express themselves in a way that is different than perhaps what was prescribed to them? For many of us, it's a desire to externalize an internal experience in order to be seen and understood. Or for some people who have a desire to pass or blend, some people don't want people to know that they transitioned, and they prefer the privacy of just living as a man or a woman, which is their experience. And so a person might medically transition, which can be hormones or surgeries, in order to live with that we'll say privacy of getting to be who they are without attracting other people's attention. For me, I've always been in the middle, and there was never, even when I try to pick one, people half the time guess the other thing. So for some of us, we're just sort of in the middle, and that's okay. So one of the things I wanted to speak about also is that people make a lot of assumptions about people. The assumptions people make about most of us are probably wrong. And some people do choose to treat me unkindly because of those assumptions. I would assume none of us would enjoy being treated unkindly due to the assumptions that someone might make. And I assume in this congregation, just based on the values, that's not something that's happening a lot here. Another thing I've noticed is that some people can be confused by a person who is in the middle, unclear, or who changes day to day. You might see me another time and I might look completely different. Some people are uncomfortable being confused. And or there's a lot of things that are said on the news about transgender and non-binary people that would make you think that I'm here to gobble up your children and force them to be gay. I'm not, for the record. My children are my children, and they express themselves how they like to express themselves, and I like to steward that. My daughter is the sparkliest princess ever, and she also loves really dark gothic stuff, and that's just who she is. And the other aspect is that for many people, to traverse the gender sphere, to explore outside of the box that we're given, was forbidden to them. And so what we see sometimes in oppression is if a person does not feel that they can express themselves as who they are fully, they may want to take another person's freedom away because they feel that they can't explore that freedom themselves. And so something that is important to me is to, hopefully by the end of this conversation with you all, that you all feel free enough to even 1% more explore what it means to be yourself, regardless of how other people feel about it. If you want to wear a flower in your hair, if you want to wear bright shoes, whatever it means to you to enjoy being yourself and enjoy decorating this, form that we have this time around. The way that I really ground myself into it is with play. And it's fun to play and to explore and to dance and paint and be expressive. So I sort of lost the transition, but I'm going to read you guys a poem called Shadow, which is a little bit about shadow work. Is anybody else familiar with shadow work? Carl Jung, Andy, of course. So Carl Jung talks a lot about the shadow. Just to give you a primer, the shadow is the side of yourself that you've been taught was not acceptable, and so you suppress it. And so collectively, our shadow as a people, whatever is not allowed to be expressed freely will find a way to express itself otherwise. And so I feel that doing the work of integrating with the parts of yourself that you've been taught to be ashamed of is a really important part of being alive. So this poem is about that. My shadow and I, we work together. She is the draft, and I am the feather. My shadow is a show-off, which is why I take the stage, an esoteric know-it-all, so I often play the sage. My shadow is my sister, partner, friend, and sinner. My shadow shouts what I know too when I am too afraid. I witness others squelching theirs, the power of their wholeness. They punish their uniqueness and glorify their dullness. I love giving unsolicited advice. But when I'm told not to do something, I'll often try it twice. And this isn't because I don't believe them. It's because I need to see for myself what is on the other side of what I should be afraid of. And admittedly, this has led me down a dangerous road, and I have not come out unscathed. But I have come out knowing what I'm made of, knowing what I'm willing to be paid for, and knowing what one should truly be afraid of. And my shadow is not one of those things. My shadow is me. I am the light and the dark. I am a whole being, and I do not deny any part of that truth. My shadow is my guardian, for knowing and loving and embracing the darkness means that it cannot harm or scare you because it is you. So I implore you, destroy your shame, call out your own name, and get to know the parts of yourself that you have been taught to deny. And I promise you will live a richer life if you simply take to heart my unsolicited advice. Thank you. So let's see, let me get back in here. There's a couple other concepts I want to cover. One is the difference between medical transitioning and social transitioning. So medical transitioning is when a person chooses to explore hormone surgery or other forms of changing their physical form. There are many other ways you can change your physical form, like tattoos, plastic surgery. Lots of people like to change their bodies to feel more like themselves. That's medical transitioning. But what you may have seen also is social transitioning, and that is when a person might choose a new name, new pronouns, or just different ways of being in society and share that with people close to them so that they can start to have that experience. I was gonna make a joke that this is pretty much my 40th time of coming out because expressing myself in a more feminine way after being masculine for 10 years is still a bit scary for me. And I think people expect me to be permanently in one way or the other, and what I'm trying to express to people is I'm never going to be static. I'm always going to be exploring, how does this feel, how does this feel, how does this feel? And that's okay. And it's also okay to pick a side and stay there, or to never want to change sides. Those are all valid choices. So the other thing I wanted to cover is that for as long as there have been people outside of the gender binary. And in many cultures, there have been folks who transitioned as part of a spiritual journey or part of a spiritual role in society. And so for myself, my experience of being is very intuitive. How I want to express myself on a given day is how I wake up, how I feel, what makes me feel most confident, most alive, most in that stream of love that I talked about at the beginning. And I know that my job as a person who is androgynous, non-binary, whatever you want to call it, is to be a beacon of freedom and limitless potential, and that does feel rooted in my spiritual experience. So I figured I would pull out something else from my book. This is about 10 years old, and this is when I made a decision not to transition, which is ironic because I have transitioned so many times in the last 10 years. So let's see, let's find page 264. I made the decision not to transition because the definition of what it means to be a man is clear to me when I look at my hands, and I see a man's hands. And it's not really for anybody else to understand how I feel about my own body, the soul that stares back at me in the mirror. But fear affects my decision. Fear of needles and fear of rejection, the cost of surgery, and the fact that once I transition, I could never go back. And anyone who really knows me knows I hate commitment, consistency, obligation, and everything that goes with it. This is 10 years ago me, by the way. And right now, I get the privilege of passing, which doesn't make me exempt from harassment. But if I claim the real me, let people see what I see, I'll open myself up to potential violence and everyday instances of well-meaning ignorance. I'm so tired already. Other trans guys tell me that tea helps. Well, every day I affirm my decision not to transition, but surely someday I will change my mind. And so I began socially transitioning. So I was born as a girl in Idaho. I began socially transitioning in 2019 and medically transitioning in 2021. And then took 2 breaks from my medical transition to have 2 children, which I've written a second book about that'll come out this fall. And here I am now. This is what I'm doing now. So yeah, even when we think we understand ourselves or we're certain about something I really want to encourage everybody to do is to occasionally interrogate your certainties. Anything that you're sure of, especially when it comes to who you are and what you believe, just give it a sniff test. Does that still feel true? And if it does, great. I try olives once a year. They're still disgusting. But I want to make sure that I don't like olives still, because what if I like them now? You never know, you gotta check it out. So, next on my haphazard list of things, and I mentioned this at the beginning, I think that people want to understand things. People want to be able to put things in defined places. And the thing I keep telling people is I don't expect anybody to understand me because I'm still in the process of coming to understand myself. And that's, to me, beautiful. It's an exciting curiosity to explore every day. So we've touched on some of those. Okay, yes, and so why, if I wasn't certain about some of these aspects of my transition, why would I choose to pursue them? One of them is that I'm very, very curious. I want to know what is beyond what we know. And so in order to find out what was on the other side of some of these permanent decisions, similar to a tattoo, I've had surgeries and taken hormones. And I've always said I will not do something that I couldn't own, that I couldn't talk about freely, that I couldn't feel proud of. And so even if, some of the things that I've done, I am not sure if I am totally settled in them. I did them of my own free will, and I learned a lot about myself and a lot about being a human being. And the other thing, the other aspect, which is a little bit more difficult to talk about, is that while I'm here talking to you about this freedom and expansiveness, throughout my journey, I have felt pressure in many ways to conform, to be a good transgender person, to be a good girl, to be whatever I was at the time, to be good at that, to be acceptable. And so part of standing here today and kind of owning this is me saying, it's okay if you don't understand me. It's okay if you don't accept me. This is where I'm at from my vantage point, and this is what I see. I will also say I did not expect to return to femininity. This is still very tender, and for many months I hid it because I thought that I would be rejected or in some way just not approved of but thanks to some dear friends that I've been allowed to share myself with, I feel comfortable standing in front of you all today, which is very nice. So, I'm going to read you one more poem, and then we're almost done, which is great. So, this poem was written in a really fun way. It's called Mixed Bag, and I was part of a poetry group where people would describe you to yourself in writing, and then you get to turn that into a poem. So, where is it? I bookmarked too many pages that I'm not actually reading. Okay, Mixed Bag. So, about 8 different people described me to myself, and so I wove these words into a poem called Mixed Bag. I'll be darned if I ain't a mixed bag, and you can write that on my epitaph and laugh or cry. I'm not gonna tell you what to do with your life. At first, I can come off as indifferent, piercing, unearthly glutton for punishment, untouchable, effortless, righteously estranged, gathering sunshine and dancing in the rain, dancing in the pain, dancing the way that someone might dance when they know that life is made of second chances. A seasoned fool, some might say. Earned wisdom only comes from doing things the hard way, and from wandering galactic backroads and hearing all that other wanderers have to say, becoming a wind-worn cornucopia of stories, and of the many, many ways that one can find freedom. Some may call me shepherd, steward, or sage. I have lived 1,000 years before I showed up on this stage. If you find me engulfing or surprising, I hope you let that feeling take you as far as it will go. Others see the pragmatism, adaptable animal magnetism, efficiency, effectiveness, articulate, deliberate emphasis, such a Sagittarius. Yeah, you got me. But don't forget the darkness and the people that I've been. Sad, scared, weak, and very, very thin. Very, very quiet with almost no will to live. These words don't come from nowhere, but they're all I have to give. Inspirational, some say, with tears in their eyes. Serenity to see through a hardened disguise. Because, come on, you guys, you're not fooling anybody. I know you're all squishy, searching love machines, marooned in a toxic system that circumnavigates that which makes us human, that which makes us animals, that which makes us nature. For the future's sake, lean into love and put away your hatred. And maybe you'll forget about me. But God, if my words do anything, I hope they set you free. So now I hope you know that if I am anything, it's a mixed bag. Okay, so there's a lot here. How much time do I have left? Am I doing good? I don't know. 5 minutes. Okay, great. So first of all, before I go any further, does anyone have any questions? We've covered a lot, and I want this to be a safe space to ask questions.
What's the name of the book?
Oh, the book is called A Pocket Full of Seeds. You can get it at Kitchavibe and probably at Rock Hill Bakehouse eventually. Yeah, it's a weird book. Be ready for it.
Chuck, will you be here for coffee hour?
I will.
That might be a better forum for questions.
Perfect. Okay, so I will be here for coffee hour for questions. So the other things that I have on my bullet points here is that when I began transitioning, as I mentioned early on, for some people it's a desire to be understood or to be seen or treated a certain way. I have found that regardless of what gender I present as, I'm treated in a way that doesn't quite feel right to me. And so I've had to accept that I can't control how other people perceive me or how other people treat me, and I just have to be free. I have to be myself and let it land however it lands for people. So a thing I've always hoped for is that when we regard each other, we are more concerned with quality of spirit and purity of heart than how a person dresses, how a person looks, whatever external markers that we can't control that were sort of given to us in this like randomizer, really I think shouldn't be the main concern of how we interact with one another. So with all of that, I would like to re-invite you, as I already said, to explore 1% more of what it means to be yourself without trying to please anyone or prove something to anyone. I invite you to be curious forever and never make up your mind about who you can be. And I invite you to be present with each other as we all walk our paths and create this beautiful tapestry of shared consciousness. Above all, I invite you to love. And so I said that was the last poem, but I lied. I have another one for you. This one's called the Lean Love Poem, and it's definitely inspired by the first reading by Khalil Gibran. But this is more about how, as I've stated, gender is made up. Gender is a hat I can put on and take off and take on, and over and over again. But love is really the force that brings us all together as people and what we can offer to one another regardless of external markers. So here is a lean love poem. Love fills the cracks in our broken hearts. It's a pat on the back or handmade art. It's a gentle sigh made in the dark. It's asking consent and fanning a spark. Love can look a lot of ways, like a tender gaze or texting hey. Relations shift from friends to rift. Friends again, best friends who kiss. Back to friends, back to this, back to how do we label it? Our sorrows, our complexity, our yes, our no, can you just sit next to me? Can you come over? I can't stop crying. Please just listen to my thoughts of dying, and maybe if you can hold them for just a minute, they'll go away, and I won't be alone in it. Love looks like cooking soup with mushrooms. Love looks like letting go when you know. Love is making sure to hydrate first thing in the morning. Love is paying your bills on time and telling someone you're sorry. Love is accepting it when you want to kiss someone because you think they're just wonderful and they aren't available for that right now. It's being okay with that and letting your love fill the cracks, letting your love look like soup with mushrooms and space and respect and friendship. Because when you really love someone, it's not about control. It's about serving that person, giving them what you can because you love giving to them, giving them a hand to help them get through this, not because you want something, but because you feel compelled to do it. Love is all that I am and all that I can offer, and for that, I am grateful. Okay, so now I just have to transition to the next Khalil Gibran thing, which is to say, so much of being alive is love, and so much of being alive is work. And the next poem, I have a part of it transcribed on my skin because it means so much to me, which says, work is love made visible. And I also believe that our work in life is to love. So it's okay with Rich, I will close with the next passage from Khalil Gibran, which, by the way, someone I had a crush on who was not interested in me gave me this book. And when I read it, my hands shook the whole time because it meant so much to me. So I highly, highly recommend reading The Prophet by Khalil Gibran. You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons, and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. When you work, you are a flute through whose heart the whispering of the hours turns to music. Which of you would be a reed, dumb and silent, when all else sings together in unison? Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of Earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when your dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's innermost secret. But if you in your pain call birth an affliction and the support of the flesh a curse written upon your brow, then I answer that not that the sweat of your brow shall wash away that which is written. You have been told also that life is darkness, and in your weariness you echo what was said by the weary. And I say that life is indeed darkness, save where there is urge, and all urge is blind, save when there is knowledge, and all knowledge is vain, save when there is work, and all work is empty, save when there is love. And when you work with love, you bind yourself to yourself, and to one another, and to God. And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with a breath of your own spirit, and to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. Often have I heard you say, as if speaking in sleep, he who works in marble and finds the shape of his own soul in the stone is nobler than he who plows the soil. And he who seizes the rainbow to lay it on a cloth in the likeness of man is more than he who makes the sandals for our feet. But I say, not in sleep, but in the over-wakefulness of noontide, that the wind speaks not more sweetly to the giant oaks than to the least of all the blades of grass. And he alone is great, who turns the voice of the wind into a song made sweeter by his own loving. Work is love made visible. And if you cannot work with love, but only with distaste, it is better that you should leave your work and sit at the gate of the temple and take alms of those who work with joy. For if you bake bread with indifference, you bake a bitter bread that feeds but half a man's hunger. And if you grudge the crushing of the grapes, your grudge distills a poison in the wine. And if you sing though as angels and love not the singing, you muffle man's ears to the voices of the day and the voices of the night. So, thank you all. I'm going to sing one more song after I have some water. And then, that's it for me? Okay, great. Hydrate real quick. Okay, so if anyone's been to one of my open mics before, the song is called Sunflower. It's the first song I ever wrote. I wrote to the beat of my own walking. And I think I'm actually going to stand in front of the podium for this because it feels weird. But it goes like this, and it's basically about the same thing we've been talking about. We're here to love, we're here to give ourselves, we're here to be metabolized by life and to be here for each other. So yeah, and the book title, A Pocket Full of Seeds, comes from this song. Oh, when I die, I hope I'm buried with a pocket full of seeds, so that my soul can flower and bear fruit for you to eat. 'Cause that's all the power I will have when I am done. Just use my weary heart to feed the world that's living on. And shine, sunflower, shine. You gotta greet every gosh darn beautiful day while there's time. And I don't know if I was put here with any special thought in mind, but I won't waste my time being anything less than kind. And you know, oh, there are days we all fall through. Wake up on the grumpy side of the bed and you don't know what to do with your beautiful, lonely, tiny little human life. Oh, well, doing what feels right to you is the only point I can find. So I gotta stand right up and shine. Gotta greet every gosh darn beautiful day while there's time. And I don't know if I was put here with any special thought in mind, but I won't waste my time being anything less than kind. And you know, oh, life's a pretty short candle wick. How can you be grateful if you're busy being a jerk? Why don't we all stop scowling and fouling up the place? Use that butterfly effect to better the human race. I'm inviting you to shine. I hope you greet every gosh darn beautiful day while there's time. And I don't know if you were put here with any special thought in mind, but please don't waste your time being anything less than kind. Oh no, no, no. I ain't got much time, oh, 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 oh. It's the blink of a cosmic eye, oh, oh, oh. Well, the simplest things can be divine if you just sit down, be quiet, and take a little time. So now it's time for you to shine. It's time to greet every gosh darn beautiful day while there's time. And I don't know if we were put here with any special thought in mind, but let's not waste our time being anything less than kind.